Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the Vicki Boutin design team, and this time I was challenged to use or actually to create a layout using multiple pictures. If you've seen my work before, I usually scrap one single picture, so this was a bit of a challenge. So what I'm doing right now, as you can see, I'm pulling one of the foundation papers from the Vicki Boutin All the Good Things collection, and I have prepped it with yeso. I yeso the entire page because I wanted to use the markers, and the only way that I can get the ink of the markers to flow on the paper is by prepping it ahead of time. So as you see, all I'm doing is scribbling the marker onto the craft mat and then diluting it with a little bit of water, and then just using the kissing technique. And this works again. I'm going to repeat it because I don't want you to make the mistake. It only is going to work if you have prepped the page before. And in this case, I use yes. If you have not prepped the page, then all you're going to get when you scribble the marker onto the page is a permanent mark because the ink inside the marker is permanent. The only reason that, not the only reason, but the reason that it works here and that it becomes fluid just for a small little time too, is because I have prepped the page. And as you're going to see right now, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to play with the color. And I chose, actually this layout took quite a bit of time to work because I left, not just because of the drying time, but I left it, you're going to see also, as I changed clothes and the layout. It took me at least 3 days, and not because I left it aside, and it's just because it changed my mind. I had to wrap my mind around the concept of scrapping a 2-picture layout. And as you see right now, all I'm doing is spraying with the markers on the background. And I actually had created another project, but just a small section using this technique, but I wanted to reproduce it on a larger scale and actually create a large background just with the markers. And as you see, all I'm doing, like I said before, is scribbling onto the craft mat and also onto the prep paper and just diluting it with water and then just playing around. And you're going to see that in a little bit, because I'm putting a lot of water, I'm able to drip the colors. And that gave me the idea that just like mixing the colors together and making them drip so they'll mix together. The only thing that I found that as I went along is that the marker dries faster than an art crayon. I'm going to show you in a bit. And as you see right now, I'm bringing art crayons. And just because I wanted to start punching some of the colors in the areas, the marker is not as concentrated as the art crayon will be. So it'll give you a really nice soft look. If you're going for a soft look and you want to try this, go ahead. But if you want to add a lot of color or more pigmented color, then the art crayon is the way to go. Now, as I was telling you before, the one thing that I came to realize is that when you use the marker, following this technique, is that the marker dries faster than the art crayon, and at the same time the art crayon can be reactivated with some water, which the marker doesn't. Not as much, as you can see. Yes, a little bit, but not as much. So once you have put it down and play with it, and like the water starts to evaporate, it kind of becomes permanent. And it might not be something you like. I actually like that because it gives me the idea of creating layers. So I'm thinking, what can I do to change or to add the existing blob of color, if you want to call it, or the mark that the previous color left there? And I like that. And as you see right now, as I started dripping the ink, it started giving me this idea of where the ink was flowing to work the color to that. So there's like a gradation of color. So I started with teal, and then I'm ending in this really light green. And once I'm happy with that, so you're gonna see me that I start going backwards to the teal and working kind of an L, a reverse L. I'm working into the blues. And for that, because like I said, I use a lot of the marker, it's really soft. I started bringing the art crayons, and you're gonna see me that I'm using the cool palette, the cool set, but I also bring some of the neutral set because there's a navy color in the neutral set that's going to give me that deeper, richer blue. And that's all it took. And like I said, I actually enjoy working on backgrounds. And the reason why this layout took a few days to complete, and it's not that it took a long time to complete, it's just that I set it aside to dry. One. And the second is that when I work, or the way I work many times, is I just work a background with no idea in mind. I just work it because I like the way the colors flow, or because I felt like getting messy that day, or just for the sake of it. And then after, I'm going back with ideas of what can I do with it, what can I add. I want to try a technique. So if you are good to go and then you can work around it, then you know what, try this. But if not, try the junk journal. The junk journal is a great place to create techniques. Write a recipe at the back. Just say, you know what, I used my crayons and water it down, and just what you did. So then you can recreate. In this case, like I said, I had done it in a smaller project, so I was able to recreate it. And you see the final project is not a really concentrated pigmented background. It's just soft, but it works. And I'm finding I brought these pictures in because they have a lot of blue in it, even though it's my cousin and her baby, and I love them. She's my goddaughter, and my cousin is like my little sister. So I just had to work this layout, these pictures in the layout, and actually works because it's a series. So you're gonna see that even though I did the background, I'm trimming a little bit of the edge of the background. I want to get as close as I can without being on like at the edge of that L that I created. And I'm choosing to actually glue and stitch this paper onto the B side of the soft wood paper, which is that nice watercolor paper, because it has that deep blue that actually is in the background of this picture. But I'm choosing to glue it and stitch it on an angle. I want to take advantage of that L that I created in a fun way. So once I have an idea where I'm gonna put the picture, I'm gonna come in with the new stencil brush and some of the art crayon. And I love this brush. Oh my god, I love it. I when Vicki showed us how it worked, I love it. Every time she does her Facebook lives, I love it even more. And I've used it in a couple of videos and a couple layouts already for different design teams, and I love the results. So I thought that I wanted to work it into this layout. I want to start building not just layers of paper, but also layers of mixed media. So first I started with the markers and the watercolor, you can see, and I'm gonna add some ink using the crayons and the stencil. And I'm choosing to use this flower stencil because it's my cousins, they're girls, and I thought, you know what, it will work really well. And the second thing I'm using is the warm palette. I'm using yellows and reds and maroons just because I want to create. I don't want to keep it cool. I want to bring some girly tones to it, and I think the layer will benefit from also like a different tone, not just blue, or just, you know, I don't know, it just worked better. And you're gonna see that I started with like this pink tone, and then I went into a maroon, and I'm actually gonna end up in this yellowish tone that actually comes in the neutral set. And I like the idea that the L also changes color as it works in the flowers. Same idea as I work the watercolor. And I like it. I like how it looks right now, like I said. And as I worked along, I wanted to keep building layers. And since I added flowers, I pulled this mandala stencil that came from the first set of stencils in the Vicki Boutin All the Good Things collection this year. And I started to use the little flowers at the edge of the stencil to create, I don't know, like a textured look to the page. And I thought that because I had those flowers in the background, and it was a layout again about two of my favorite people in the world, I wanted to use and pick some of that red tone, the warmer tones that I had just put with the art crayon, using some of the rose gold glaze that it just released. And I actually like the way it works. And I just I didn't have some, like, again, I don't have like a particular idea in mind. I just thought that I wanted to add flowers so that they look like they're floating, they're cascading around the pictures. I think I might overdone it in some areas. It's a learning curve, but I like the way it looks. I like the way like there's all the layers of mixed media look behind the picture. And then again, you're gonna see I'm starting to work now with the paper. And again, I'm working on layers. And I started adding a layer of the beside the blue color onto some of the pictures, and I used teal for the other picture. I wanted to use all the colors that were used in the background, and then I used some of the pink papers just to add a layer onto the pictures. One thing that I did is I used fan foam, two different widths of fan foam, if you can say, to mat and to glue the pictures onto the page. I wanted to create also some sort of level in between the pictures. And right now I'm just gonna go into embellishment. And the All the Good Things collection is packed with a lot of ephemera, a lot of word stickers that actually are fun and tell the sentiment of a page. And as you can see, I chose some of the card stickers to put just as little subtitles underneath the picture. And then the other one, I couldn't find anything that worked. So I decided to use one of the paper clips and add one of the stickers from the watercolor sticker kit, just to create, like I said, like a phrase at the bottom. Now, as I worked along, I added a few more clusters. And I said that because I had put flowers in the background, I needed to also add some flowers onto the clusters of the picture. And for this, I decided that I like the watercolor stickers, but I find that there's a lot of white space behind them. So first thing I did is I used some art crayon, and I'm using some of the blue and the teals because I'm using that in the entire page. And I'm using a baby wipe to diffuse the color on the little leaf that I'm choosing in this case. And then I'm cutting, fussy cutting a lot of the white space that is outside of the crayon. I want it to be as close as I can to the image. And after that, you're gonna see me that I also use one of the die cuts. I cut it in half, and I'm just using it as layers, and I'm creating these little clusters of flowers. And that's it. It was simple. Now for the title, and I struggled with this title for some reason until I realized that I needed to bring more of that blue into the layout. So I choose to use a cut file from the Silhouette store to cut the title in the Silly Selfies, because this is what the layout is all about. And I just added a few lines of journal and a few more. What I did is I actually watered down the rose gold glaze and added some drops onto the page, and that's it. I love the way the layout came out. It is fun. It's something different. It's a challenge for me, but I like it. I think you need to try to challenge yourself and, work with the medium, to work with it just for the fun of it, and then see what you can make out of it. And I hope you try it. And don't forget, like, if you have any questions, to hesitate me, check out Vicky's stuff. It's amazing. Thank you for being here today. Take care, guys.